Hey guys, Mama Sam here. It's been a while since I recorded anything. I decided to kind of just wait because my daughter was going back to school, so I thought, well, I'll just wait until she's back in school and then I can record regularly every day. And then I decided to get a job. So, yeah, I feel like I've been living in purgatory for like the last 2 years, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get a job. It's not gonna be like a full-time crazy job, but it is something. I have to go back to work. I can't find any other source of income, and YouTube doesn't pay me right now, so I don't have a choice. I have to go back to work. So anyway, I'm kind of wanting to do an update, a chronic illness update video. Um, Basically, I'm just asking for any doctors out there if they can, if they are willing, if I'm worth their time to just watch this video, listen to my story, and maybe point me in the right direction or give me any kind of help. So I thought I would just start with what initially happened, just a real quick recap, and then kind of just my journey until I'm till here, and then what I deal with right now on a day-to-day basis. And before I get started, if you want me to share your chronic illness story, or you just want to talk about it, you want me to read it, whatever you want, you can send your stories to share with mamasam@gmail.com, and we will read and discuss. So in July of 2019, I started to feel a little sick. I thought I was getting a sinus infection, basically. I went to Quick Care, and I remember the dates too. It was actually July 24th. I felt a little sick at work, and by sick, I mean, like I said, sinus infection. I was feeling kind of dizzy. I had a lot of pressure in my head. And so I went to UMC after work, and I told them, and they were like, well, are you familiar with sinus infections? I'm like, yeah, I've had them before. I'm pretty sure that's what this is. I didn't feel really, really bad. I just was having some head pressure and, just kind of felt like that. So they gave me a prescription for a Z-Pack and sent me home, said, give it a couple of days. You'll probably start to feel better, but just make sure you finish the Z-Pack. Like, okay. So I think it was 2 days into the Z-Pack, 24, 25, 26. Yeah, we actually had a friend in town, and I was really sick. Like, I was worse 2 days into the Z-Pack than I was before I even started taking the Z-Pack. So I was like, nah, I had so much like dizziness when I would stand up. It's not that like things got worse. It was like, oh, I can't stand up and walk around. Also, the friend that we had in town, he's a really good friend. He loves to eat, and so do I. He had brought like some donuts from Pink Box, and I was all excited. I remember I took a bite, and I'm like, I don't want this. Like, I'm sick. I can't eat. So I remember it was the 29th. I felt terrible, but I had to go back to work. I had already missed the last 4 days, I think it was. And I was like, oh, I just got to get up and go. Like, so I was at work, and I remember I was only like an hour into my shift, and my head was throbbing and had so much pressure in it. I was so dizzy. I was like, I can't do this. I got to go. Something's wrong. So I somehow managed to get in my car and drive home, which was stupid. They should have just taken me to the hospital from there because I could barely stand. I got home. I called my husband, and I don't remember anything after that. The next thing I remember, I'm in the emergency ER. I'm in a gown. I'm hooked up to machines, and they're telling me that they're going to admit me. So while I was in the hospital, they did all kinds of scans. I mean, everything you can think of. I had MRI, MRA, CTs, blood work. I had a freaking lumbar puncture that was awful. They did a nuclear medicine scan. Like I went through the ringer while I was in the hospital. They did everything. Things that I just noticed while I was in the hospital. My appetite disappeared. It was gone. I wasn't hungry at all. I got even dizzier while I was in the hospital. I also had a really weird, like, things happen while I was there. It would only happen in the middle of the night. I would be asleep, and I would wake up suddenly feeling like I was about to throw up. And it would happen every night in the middle of the night at like 3 in the morning. And they would give me Zofran and it would work. And I remember the nurse saying, it's so weird that it's happening every night in the middle of the night. So finally, 6 days I was there, 6 days rolls around. They finally just tell me pretty much, there's nothing, we've done everything. There's nothing left we can do. We don't know what's wrong. You're going to have to do this outpatient. And I remember I was really scared because I'm thinking, wait a minute, how can I be in the hospital for 6 days and feel worse and not know what's wrong when I'm like, you're sending me away? And I felt so like sad and abandoned, everything. But anyway, so I was discharged. I ended up going back to a different hospital, I think 2 or 3 days later, because I had a really bad headache from the lumbar puncture. They ended up patching it, and then the headache from that went away. But the other stuff was still there. While I was actually in the hospital, because I went and I stayed that night that I had the patch, I got very, very nauseous again in the middle of the night. And while all this pressure and dizziness was going on, I was also having very bad head pain. But I tried to really, really let the doctors know it's more pressure. It's because they'd be like, well, how much pain are you in? And I'm like, well, when the pain flares up, it's bad. But when there's no pain, it's just pressure. Like somebody is sitting on my head, like they're squeezing my head, like there's somebody inside grabbing my brain and squeezing, or I've got like a monster in there that's trying to explode its way out. So I kept trying to explain that to them, but it was like they just didn't understand. Oh boy, it was when I got home. I finally got back home because I was staying at my in-laws, because all this happened right when my daughter was going back to school. So my in-laws were helping. I finally got back home. I don't remember when it was. It was in August sometime. And I just remember, and this doesn't really have anything to do with it, but I remember I hadn't showered or washed my hair for like days because I was too sick. And I remember I got home and I took a bath and I washed my hair and I shaved. And after that, I laid in bed and I don't remember anything for like weeks. I was bedbound with just feeling the head pressure would not stop. I was weak. I was not hungry at all. I lost 40 pounds in 4 months. There's even some things I look back on now and I can't even believe I did them. Like I went to like, they sent me to an eye doctor because they wanted to see if the eye doctor could see if there was any pressures or anything behind my eyes. I remember sitting in the waiting room thinking, I'm going to pass out. I'm so dizzy and there's so much pressure in my head. I'm not even going to be able to sit here. And I somehow managed to keep doing all these things. I think there was just like this driving force in me that was like, I can't give up. I have to do this. And so I remember it was in September, because it was around my birthday, and I went to an ear specialist, and I don't remember what the test was called, but it was where they like blow air in your ears and stuff. And I remember looking down at my arm and I had these like red dots on my arm, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I noticed it was on both arms and that they were both in the creases of my elbows. Well, earlier that day, I had went to Walmart to get some groceries, and I didn't grab a cart. I had the handbasket, and I remember I had a gallon of milk in it, so I was like tugging it and pulling it, and I thought, well, I must have bruised my arms or something like that. But I remember thinking to myself and looking up and down my arms, I didn't see any more. They were just in the creases of my elbows, and I thought, well, I'll keep an eye on it, but it's probably just from that. And so on the way home from the exam, my husband, I remember he asked me, he was like, if you had to live like this, could you? At this point, like I said, the pressure, I just wish that somebody could experience it and understand what the pressure, what it was like. Like it was, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little teary. It was so awful. Like, it's almost like, I don't know, I wish somebody else could feel it so they could understand what I was feeling. And I remember my husband was like, could you live like this if you had to? And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, I'd have to. I desperately wanted some answers. I'm thinking, why is this happening to me? I'm sorry. We have our baby girl. Like, I have to do this. And I will say through this whole thing, like, my husband, he's been amazing. I love him so much. I can't even imagine my life without him. He is the absolute best thing that's ever happened to me. And I love him so much. So anyway, it's like I remember bits and pieces from it because I was so sick. And then I remember mornings where I would, like, when I would have to take my daughter to school, I would take like Dramamine every morning because I was so dizzy. There was so much pressure. It's like I remember little things like that I forgot because I was so out of it. I don't remember when it was, but I kind of started just forcing myself to get up and do things. Like I bought 2 pound weights and I started kind of just like lifting them. Anything, because I felt really weak all the time. My arms felt weak, like my hands, they would shake and they still do kind of. But I started just lifting the weights and I still do that to this day. Anytime I feel like I'm getting weak or my body's getting weak, I'll walk up and down the stairs and I'll lift the weights. I'll do little exercises to make sure that I don't get to that point again where I was just bedbound. And they couldn't give me an explanation for that either. Like, I was 30, 34, 35 when this all happened. I don't even remember how old I was. I've lost like 2 years of my life. They couldn't tell me why I couldn't like get up and walk around, why I was so sick, why I was weak. Like, I couldn't get any answers at all. So I'm on this like path or whatever of just the head pressure. Unbelievable. Would not back off. The dizziness, terrible. The weakness, no appetite. I'm on this path, right? Well, I noticed my head pressure starts to go away. And that didn't go away completely, and it still hasn't, but it started to get less and less bad. And I would notice that it would seem like my head pressure would flare up or get really bad if I was in a seated position like this for too long. Like, if I was gaming or whatever and I'm sitting in the chair, it would start to like flare up and I'd have to lay down. If I was sitting and driving in my car for too long, the pressure would start to flare up. It seemed like when I would lay down, it would kind of get better. But if I stood up and walked around, it helped a lot. But I felt too weak and sick and tired to get up and walk around. So it was like a catch-22. In like November, I started getting really severe stomach pain. Like stomach pain I've never felt before. Awful. I ended up going to the emergency room like 3 times for stomach pain because I thought my stomach was going to rip open. I also went for chest pain at one point because I was getting really severe chest pain right here, like right where my heart's at. Every test they did came back normal. I had like a x-ray. They said that my heart looked fine. They did a stress test or whatever. I don't remember what it was. It was awful though. It was so scary. My heart just started racing out of nowhere and I'm like, I can't breathe. And then they did like an echo ultrasound. I don't remember all the things. Everything came back normal. My heart, they said that my heart's fine. And then I had the endoscopy and the colonoscopy and the scans, and I had a HEDA scan, whatever the heck it's called. Everything came back normal. All of my doctors at this point are telling me they think what's going on is neurological. I'm like, well, I think so too. It all started in this area, and now it's all going everywhere else. Yeah, something I think is wrong with my brain. So I ended up going to the Mayo Clinic. I'm not going to talk about what happened at the Mayo Clinic right now. I don't even know if I'm going to talk about it in this video. Maybe I'll make a second video because maybe I shouldn't have put all of my stock into the Mayo Clinic, but I was very disappointed. So I think that was pretty much it. The Mayo Clinic happened in February of 2020. I ended up quitting my job. So let's fast forward to today. What I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis now. So every morning when I wake up is when I feel my worst. It's probably for like the first hour. I have terrible tremors. I feel a little nauseous. I feel very foggy, I guess is the right word. I don't really know. I feel really weak and really sick. So after about the first hour, it like levels off. And in the morning, if I'm lucky, I do kind of have an appetite. So I usually have my coffee and then I eat. Well, I wouldn't say any time, but let's say 80% of the time when I eat. Afterwards, I feel very bad stomach pain and very bad nausea. So I don't have much of an appetite in the first place. Now, mind you, this is every day. This is my daily. I'm just trying to tell you what I'm going through daily now at this point. I don't have much of an appetite, and when I do eat, it upsets my stomach, and I'm in very bad pain. Usually about like a half hour after I eat, and it can last for about an hour. So I made notes. I'm like, why can't I see? I don't have my glasses on. I always deal with stomach nausea all the time. It seems like the head pressure went away and it was replaced by nausea in my stomach. I'm constantly nauseous all the time. I take 8 milligram tablet of Zofran for that. Now, the thing I want to point out is when I take the Zofran, it's a 50-50 that it works. More often than not, it does, but sometimes it doesn't. So it makes me wonder if this was all in my head, wouldn't the Zofran not work ever? I mean, doesn't something have to be wrong with my stomach and for some sort of nausea for the Zofran to work? I've already mentioned I have no appetite. Now, when I say no appetite, that's an exaggeration. I don't really feel hungry most of the time. I'll sometimes feel hungry in the morning, and then I'll sometimes get hungry for dinner. But there are some days when I wake up in the morning, I have my coffee and I won't eat anything until dinner. And I really honestly don't notice anything except I start to feel kind of weak. So that's when I'll be like, oh, I should probably eat something because I'm feeling weak. But I'm not feeling hungry. So here's an interesting one. Let's say 4 nights out of the week. Every week, 4 nights out of the week. The same thing that happened to me when I was in the hospital will happen. I'll be sleeping and boom, I'll wake up feeling like I'm about to throw up and I'm really shaky. And I take my Zofran and it helps and I'm able to go back to sleep. And what's strange is that only happened when I was in the hospital. It didn't happen anymore after I was discharged. And it never happened again until all of the issues with my stomach started, which was I'd say it really started to get really, really bad in like February of 2020. I always feel off balance all the time. My head's never clear. It always feels like there's a fog. And then also something that I think is kind of interesting is when I lay on let's say I lay down, if I lay my head to the left, I can feel really bad pressure. When I turn my head to the right, I don't feel it. And most of the pressure I feel like is right in the left side of my head. Like you can actually push here. I can push on my head right here and I can feel pressure, like I can feel it. The red spots on my skin, they did end up spreading everywhere. And I was really, really adamant about checking myself. Because I remember when I checked again a week later, the red dots had spread down my arm. So I was like, oh my gosh, these spots are spreading. What are these? And like it's happening over a short time period. I noticed they started to spread to my stomach and my legs. And I remember looking at my face and thinking, okay, well, they're not on my face. That's okay. They eventually were on my face. I seen a dermatologist. I got nothing. I mentioned it to the neurologists. And my other doctor, my primary care physician, they don't know. Recently, also, I've noticed I'm seeing this like white spot on the left field of my vision. It's a really big, like, I always call them blind spots, but it's not, I'm not blind. I can see but it's just like a really big spot. So I'm going to make an appointment with my ophthalmologist. That was another thing I forgot to mention. My vision has become very kind of grainy, and it's not blurry because they keep saying, well, is your vision blurred? Like, no, I don't have blurry vision. It's grainy. I remember I was doing laundry and I was looking down at the clothes, and when I did, I thought I saw a bug run by. And I hit the carpet because I thought, and then I was like, I noticed the whole carpet looked like it was moving. So it's like, and then I looked up and I noticed it was everywhere. So I've gotten kind of used to it now, but yeah, especially in the morning when I wake up, my vision's very snowy, I guess is the right way to put it. And then the one thing I always like to remind anybody that's listening, or if I am, what's the word I'm trying to say? If I am lucky enough, that's not even a hard word. If I'm lucky enough to have any doctors or anybody, any specialists see this and be going, the thing I try to remind everybody and everybody to remember is that this all happened like that. I was a totally normal person on the 23rd of July, and then by the 29th, I was admitted and I couldn't walk anymore. I was bedbound for 2 months basically and couch bound for like a year. So this isn't something that I can look back on and be like, oh, well, maybe the signs were there and now this developed or whatever. No, there's nothing. I never went to the doctor before this. I've never had I don't have a history of any weird things happening in my family. I don't have anything that I can grasp to and go, well, maybe. I don't have any of that. I've never had any surgeries. The only medical thing when I was admitted to the hospital was when I had my daughter, when I was pregnant. Nothing weird happened after that. She was born in 2013 and I was totally fine after that. So I don't have anything that I can reach back on. So like I said, always try to keep in mind to people when I tell them this is that it started suddenly, not gradually. It was a span of, like I said, the 24th, I thought I had a sinus infection. And by the 29th, I was admitted to the hospital. And ever since then, I've not been able to really get up and move around. So I think that's everything. So I'm just going to put up a little recap of it, like what I'm facing now on a day-to-day basis. That is, I'm always nauseous. I have very little appetite. When I do eat, I feel sick and I have very severe stomach pain. I get very, very nauseous when I'm sleeping and I get very, very shaky. It wakes me up. My heart's racing, all that. I always feel like I'm going to throw up. And then I'm at my worst in the morning is when I feel the worst. I have tremors, I'm nauseous, I'm weak. I always feel off balance. And when I lay down on the left side of my head, there's a lot of pressure. I have red spots on my skin. Yeah, that's it. Oh, and I'm seeing that spot now. I don't know. So anyway, that's it. This video is way too long. So thank you for watching. Like I said, if anybody's got any ideas or anywhere they can point me or anything, I want some freaking answers. I'm doing the best I can. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. This video was super long. I'm really sorry. I'm going to end it. And look forward to some of my other videos coming now that my daughter's back in school. I'll be able to continue some of the other ones. Don't forget to share your stories. I want to hear your chronic illness stories too, so that we can form a community. And there's a lot of us out there. So I will talk to you guys next time. Bye, friends.